anyone or anything.
Je me filme, vous avez pas le droit de faire ça.
Arrête de filmer.
Non.
T'es contente, là?
Such a pretty dress.
Hello and welcome to our weekly film show with our critic, Emma Jones. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. Now we're starting with the sequel to a film that was a phenomenon when it came out in 2013, Frozen. Now many parents out there were forced to listen to the Oscar-winning hit song Let It Go on repeat. What does Frozen 2 promise?
More of the same, I would say. Although, of course, I'm not really sure its makers, Chris Buck and Jennifer Lee, ever expected their first Frozen to be quite so successful. The faces of Princesses Elsa and Anna on so many lunchboxes and backpacks everywhere. Clearly, these princesses spoke to young children in a way I don't think any other Disney princesses ever have done before. So I think on this basis, we can assume that Frozen 2 is going to be enormous at the box office, no matter what some grown-up critics say about it, that really the story is already running out of road. So Frozen 2, the plot is essentially Elsa. She is the blonde supernatural one, voiced by Idina Menzel. Well, she really has to come to terms with who she is and save her kingdom in the process. And then there's the other one, Anna. She is the non-supernatural one. She's redheaded. I'm obviously Team Anna. And she's on a different kind of journey. She's also failing spectacularly to notice that her square-jawed boyfriend, Kristoff, really wants to take their relationship further.
Okay, well, we chatted to the co-director, Jennifer Lee, about the characters. Have a listen.
We just knew when we started we wanted to create authentic characters. They were not good versus evil. They were complex. But as we got into this next journey, we kept realizing they had more perseverance than we knew. That what Elsa was willing to do for her people and her kingdom, what they were willing to do for each other.
Lion.
Grizzly bear.
Monster.
Brown bear.
Angry face.
Black bear. Hans.
Unredeemable monster.
Greatest mistake of your life.
Wouldn't even kiss you.
Villain.
Oh.
We all kind of got it.
Okay, Olaf, you're up.
Okay. So much easier now that I can read. Lightning round, boys against girls.
Okay, I'm ready. Go. Unicorn. Ice cream. Castle. Oaken. Teapot. Mouse. Oh, Elsa!
Now, Olaf really is the saviour of this film, isn't he? I was a bit disappointed.
Yeah.
I do love a story, and I don't really feel like there is one. How much do you think both children and adults are going to get out of this?
Yeah, I agree. It's more of a journey rather than a story for this film. I think that the kids are certainly going to get a lot out of it. And don't discount the adults too. Olaf, voiced by Josh Gad, is brilliant. He has all the best lines, doesn't he, in this film? And in my opinion, he also has the best song, When I'm Older, which is Olaf's reaction to all the creepy supernatural things going on around him, and it's going to go straight over the head of children watching. That's the comedy. But it is quite bleak, isn't it? Because both Elsa and Anna find themselves completely isolated. Elsa really seems to struggle with who she is, and Anna has to, in the end, sing a song about really when all hope is gone, you just do the next right thing. So you can either take that as a very profound message for our era, or you can take it as more Hollywood psychobabble. As with all things Disney, it's up to you.
But there is nothing like that hit song, Let It Go, is there?
No, I think Idina Menzel does her best with a number called Into the Unknown, but I don't think there's anything that's going to be a complete hit. And I think that Shrek has shown what happens to a franchise when it goes too far. So I'd like them to freeze Frozen, right here now.
Okay, well, let's move on to a fantastic French film,
Yeah.
Les Misérables by Ladj Ly. Now, he's been hailed as one of the success stories of a new wave of French filmmakers, along with Mati Diop, who brought us Atlantics. Now, this film won the jury prize at this year's Cannes Film Festival.
It's a really, really good film, and I do agree that Les Misérables and Atlantics brought this fresh, young feel to French filmmaking at this year's Cannes, but, more than I've experienced really for years. Both films emerged from short films that both directors had made, and both got snapped up by streaming services. In Atlantic's case, Netflix, and in Les Misérables' case, by Amazon in the USA. Now, of course, it's got much more of a theatrical distribution in France, and I'm really glad about that, because the opening scene, I'm sure you will agree, is really, really good. It's remember when France last won the World Cup, and you see all this joy, all these crowds, all these flags on the streets of Paris. And then the title comes up, Les Misérables, and it's really a moment of supreme irony. So the plot follows a young police officer, Stéphane, as he goes on the beat in Les Bosquets, which was the setting for Victor Hugo's original novel, Les Misérables. And it's shot almost docudrama style. You see these three police officers as they attempt to keep order in the suburbs, and they meet some really interesting characters. Now, the plot involves a stolen lion cub and a teenager filming some wrongdoing with a drone.
Okay, well, I absolutely love this film. The director, Ladj Ly, came in to chat to our colleagues on France 24's French channel. He said the film is a rallying call.
C'est quoi votre putain de problème? C'est moi la loi!
Donc t'es en train de m'expliquer quoi là? C'est un accident?
Les petits nous lâchent pas depuis tout à l'heure.
C'est pas de votre faute. Comme d'hab quoi. Les filles avaient raison d'exprimer leur colère. Seul moyen de se faire entendre aujourd'hui.
Tu vas trop loin!
Today we're in a somewhat critical situation. My film is a cry for help addressed to politicians, as they're the first ones responsible for what has been happening in the neighborhood over the last 30 years. I think they totally abandoned us, so I think it's time for us to all sit around a table together and to try to find a solution, as today the situation is very tense.
Now, it's impossible not to watch this film and not think of the recent tensions on the streets of Paris, of course. However, I'd say much as I really loved the film and it builds up to a crescendo, I really actually enjoyed the bits before the tension started, just the interaction with the local characters I found very, very interesting. Overall, that I'm really glad that Les Misérables has been chosen as France's Oscar entry for this year. I feel it's fresh, it's new, it's edgy. It says a lot about where French filmmaking is going.
Agreed. Well, next to a highly unusual art house film from eccentric British director Peter Strickland. Tell us more about this.
Yeah, you're never going to look at a department store in the same light if you go and watch In Fabric, which is really rather brilliant. And it's Peter Strickland's follow-up film to 2014's The Duke of Burgundy. I'd like to say this is British independent filmmaking at its absolute best, because this film is completely crazy. It's based on Peter Strickland's experiences of department stores when he was presumably dragged in there growing up in the 70s and 80s. Clearly, it had a very disturbing effect upon young Peter, because the plot is about a demonic red dress that ruins the lives of everybody who wears it. Throw into the mix some bald mannequins, which are also involved in some erotic scenes. This is Peter Strickland, after all. Nylon-wigged, Victorian-clad shop assistants, which are a cross between Suspiria, The Witches of Eastwick, and a very, very good soundtrack supplied by the Caverns of Antimatter. So why don't we have a look at a bit of In Fabric and see what's in store?
As promised.
Thank you.
You look different.
Oh my God, what's that? That looks nasty. Maybe just the washing powder. I hope it isn't catchy.
How's it going, Sheila?
Everything's fine.
What happened to your hand?
Washing machine went bananas.
You who wear me will know me.
What's that supposed to mean?
It's just a cheap bit of mystery.
Now, central to In Fabric are the cast, and you just saw Marianne Jean-Baptiste there as one of the main characters. She was Oscar nominated quite some time ago now for Mike Leigh's Secrets and Lies. There's also a great turn by an up-and-coming British actress, Hayley Squires, in there. And you may have spotted Gwendoline Christie, obviously relishing her escape from Game of Thrones and into Art House. And then there's also Fatma Mohammed. She's a long-time Strickland collaborator, and she plays the incredibly terrifying shop assistant, Miss Luckmore. Now, I think if you grew up in the 70s and 80s, you'll also enjoy this film as a historical artefact. The time was when a department store in any regional town and its sale was huge news. And then there's these catalogues of the ever-smiling models. So it's too funny to be completely like Dario Argento's Suspiria, for example. But this is crimson-tinged, weird, thoroughly enjoyable.
Oh, I remember those days in Birmingham when we used to go to the sale of Rackham's. Now, Emma, there are a lot of documentaries about the environment out there to be found, certainly on streaming services, but you're going to tell us about one that we should definitely watch on the big screen.
Yes, Anthropocene, which is one of those documentaries that you should see because of the sheer vastness of the filmmaking. You feel like you're looking at a work of art half the time. And thanks, I think, to the colours of the chemicals and the minerals, you feel that you're looking at landscapes that are incredibly beautiful. And then you stop short because looking close up, you could see that these are all vistas that have been completely spoiled by humans. So the title of the film refers to the belief of scientists that the Holofernes era of the world is now over, and we are in the Anthropocene era, or human epoch of this planet, where humans are having a far greater effect on the planet than anything else. It's narrated by Alicia Vikander, and there's a really depressing litany of statistics that she comes up with. But the film is actually by 3 filmmakers. There's Jennifer Baichwal and Nicholas de Pencier, who've made 2 environmental films before. And it's also Edward Burtynsky's photography and his filmmaking is also added to it. It goes from Russia's most polluted city to Italy, and you see Venice completely flooded there. That's very disturbing, given what's happened. So it really is a movie for our time. And as I say, the vistas are so big, it should be viewed on a big screen.
Okay. Emma Jones, thank you so much for telling us about this week's film news. We're going to leave you now with Anthropocene. Remember our website, we're also on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
We have not a way to get back. We live now in a different world.
It is such a fundamental change in the way the Earth is behaving that we need to communicate that as powerfully as possible to everybody.